The damp, heavy mist of an early London morning often seems to wrap the ancient stones of Buckingham Palace in a shroud of timeless secrecy, as if the very walls are whispering stories that the public can only guess at from behind the towering iron gates. For centuries, this grand fortress has stood as the ultimate symbol of tradition, continuity, and an unyielding commitment to duty, presenting a flawless, stoic facade to the world regardless of the emotional storms that might be raging within its private chambers. Yet, behind the polished brass and the perfectly orchestrated ceremonial guards, the human heart beats just as fiercely, burdened by the same fractures, regrets, and deep-seated longings that define families across the globe. To the casual observer, the British royal family exists as a grand living tapestry of history, a collection of figures who seem more like historical icons than flesh and blood individuals who experience joy, sorrow, and the painful sting of estrangement. In recent years, however, the heavy velvet curtains have been pulled back just enough to reveal a narrative of profound separation, one that has captivated global audiences not merely for its grandeur, but for its raw, universally recognizable human vulnerability. It is a story of a father, a son, and a family tree whose branches have grown dramatically apart, stretching across the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean and creating a silent, aching void where warmth and laughter used to reside. As the seasons turn and the world watches with bated breath, whispers have begun to echo through the corridors of power and history, suggesting that a monumental shift is quietly underway behind the scenes. This is not just a tale of titles and protocols, but a deeply personal journey of healing that could redefine the future of a legacy. And if you wish to stay informed as this historic narrative unfolds, please consider subscribing to our channel to ensure you never miss an update on these extraordinary events. The delicate dance of reconciliation is a slow and fragile process, particularly when it must be performed under the unblinking, relentless glare of the global media spotlight, where every single gesture, glance, and unspoken word is dissected by millions of eager onlookers. For nearly half a decade, the distance between London and the sunny shores of California has felt like much more than just a geographic divide. It has come to represent a profound ideological and emotional chasm that many feared would never be bridged in our lifetime. The public has watched the painful evolution of this fracture, noting the stark contrast between the traditional structured world of the British monarchy and the newfound, fiercely guarded independence of those who chose to forge a completely different path under the western skies. Every headline over the past several years has seemed to widen the gap, recording a series of public declarations, deeply personal revelations, and silent, frozen interactions that seem to solidify the permanence of the family split. The sheer weight of historical expectations often makes it incredibly difficult for individuals trapped within these roles to simply reach out, to extend a hand across the bitter divide and say that enough time has passed, and that the bonds of blood must ultimately triumph over the rigidity of protocol. Yet, beneath the superficial layers of public perception and the endless stream of commentary, the fundamental desire for connection remains a powerful, driving force that refuses to be completely extinguished by the passage of years or the accumulation of mutual grievances. Now, as the year 2026 progresses, a sudden and palpable sense of anticipation has begun to grip those who closely follow the inner workings of the House of Windsor, driven by rumors of an upcoming journey that could change everything. The upcoming trip to the United Kingdom represents far more than a simple summer vacation or a routine visit to familiar landscapes. It is being viewed by those in the inner circles as a potential watershed moment, a highly anticipated crossroads where past pain might finally collide with the possibility of a new beginning. The atmospheric tension surrounding this impending arrival is undeniable, filled with a mixture of cautious optimism and intense speculation about how the various members of this fractured dynasty will react when they are finally forced to look one another in the eye after years of profound silence. It is within this charged, delicate atmosphere that the first major signs of a quiet breakthrough have started to surface, hinting at meticulous preparations, quiet negotiations, and unexpected concessions that would have seemed absolutely impossible just a few short months ago. The very air around the royal estate seems thick with the gravity of what is about to transpire, as staff and confidants prepare for a visit that will undoubtedly be remembered as a crucial chapter in the modern history of the monarchy. The world is watching, waiting to see if the stubborn walls of pride can finally be dismantled in favor of something far more precious and enduring than the preservation of ancient, unyielding grudges. To truly understand the immense weight of this moment, one must look closely at the figure who sits at the absolute center of this unfolding drama. A reigning monarch who is currently navigating the heavy responsibilities of his crown while simultaneously dealing with the deeply personal vulnerabilities that come with advanced age and a desire for familial peace. At 77 years old, the king is a man acutely aware of the passage of time and the supreme importance of legacy, not just in terms of historical continuity, but in the intimate, quiet moments that occur far away from the cameras and the state banquets. Those who know him well speak of a deeply sentimental heart, a man who, despite his formal upbringing and the rigid expectations of his role, harbors a profound love for his entire family and a growing, persistent sadness over the long-standing absence of his youngest son and his grandchildren. The crown can be a profoundly isolating burden, and as the years march forward, the desire to see his family unified, even if only for a brief and private moment, has reportedly grown into an overwhelming priority that eclipses the lingering bitterness of past conflicts. It is this powerful grandfatherly longing that has driven the quiet creation of a brand new understanding, a discreet agreement that has been forged in the utmost secrecy to ensure that the upcoming visit is focused entirely on the restoration of basic human bonds rather than the perpetuation of ancient arguments, as the final preparations are made behind closed doors. The sheer scale of the anticipation continues to grow, setting the stage for an emotional reunion that will be felt far beyond the palace walls, marking the beginning of a chapter that many believed would never be written. The curtain is finally rising on the specific logistics of this historic return, exposing the complex and high-stakes machinery required to facilitate a gathering that has been years in the making. According to reliable insider reports that have recently come to light, a structured and highly confidential agreement has been solidified at the highest levels of the royal household, paving the way for King Charles III to finally be reunited with his youngest grandchildren, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. This development is being described by palace sources as an incredibly emotional milestone for the 77-year-old monarch, who has spent the last several years watching these two young lives grow from an immense distance. Relying on occasional digital photographs and brief structured video calls rather than the warmth of physical presence, the sheer passage of time has only added to the intense gravity of the situation, as Prince Archie is now 7 years old and Princess Lilibet has reached the age of 5. Representing crucial formative years that have passed entirely outside the traditional orbit of the British royal family. The reigning monarch is said to be absolutely overjoyed at the prospect of holding his grandchildren once more on British soil, an experience that has eluded him for 4 long years. Since the children last touched down in the United Kingdom during a brief and highly managed visit that left many lingering questions unanswered. This upcoming meeting represents a profound victory for grandfatherly affection over the rigid, often unyielding nature of royal protocol, serving as a rare and beautiful glimmer of hope in a narrative that has otherwise been dominated by public conflict and emotional distance. Yet, as the global public absorbs the shocking news of this breakthrough, a cloud of intense mystery and strategic ambiguity continues to hover over the exact guest list, specifically regarding whether the Duchess of Sussex will choose to accompany her family across the Atlantic. While Prince Harry and his young children are fully expected to make the journey and spend meaningful time with the king, the status of the founder of the Archewell Initiative remains entirely unconfirmed, creating an extra layer of narrative tension that media analysts are eagerly dissecting. The history of this separation is deeply rooted in complex personal choices, and the Duchess has set foot in the United Kingdom since September of 2022. When she stood alongside her husband during the somber and world-altering funeral of the late Queen Elizabeth II. That historic occasion marked the last time the family presented a completely unified front to the world, and the subsequent years have seen a steady deepening of the geographic and emotional boundaries between the two households. The decision of whether or not to return to a landscape that has been the source of so much personal pain and public scrutiny is undoubtedly a heavy one, and the silence surrounding her potential participation speaks volumes about the delicate, unresolved emotions that still linger beneath the surface of this family dynamic. The world remains suspended in a state of intense curiosity, wondering if this highly anticipated reunion will feature a complete family unit or if it will remain a more limited, targeted effort toward reconciliation between a father and his son. The incredible effort required to make this visit possible at all becomes clear When one examines the extraordinary olive branches that King Charles has personally extended to facilitate his family's safe and comfortable return to the country. Recognizing the immense emotional and logistical hurdles that have kept his son at bay, the monarch has reportedly taken the unprecedented step of inviting the Duke and Duchess of Sussex to reside within an official royal residence for the entirety of their stay, a gesture that carries immense symbolic weight and practical significance. This generous offer is designed to provide the visiting family with a secure, private, and deeply familiar sanctuary, far away from the prying eyes of the global press and the unpredictable nature of public spaces. Furthermore, and perhaps most importantly, the king has personally intervened to resolve the complex, highly contentious issue of security arrangements that has plagued Prince Harry's relationship with his homeland for more than half a decade. The question of personal safety has been the absolute ultimate sticking point in these family negotiations, a non-negotiable barrier that has previously prevented the children from visiting the United Kingdom due to the intense, well-documented security concerns harbored by their protective parents. By taking direct responsibility for their physical safety within the royal estate, Charles has effectively dismantled the largest obstacle standing in the way of his grandfatherly desires. Demonstrating a profound willingness to compromise in order to see his family gathered under one roof, to fully appreciate the profound depth of the tension surrounding these security arrangements, one must understand the lengthy, exhausting legal saga that Prince Harry has waged against the British authorities since he and his wife chose to resign from their official royal duties. Back in the year 2020, when the couple made the monumental decision to step away from the active monarchy and establish a completely independent life in California, they were systematically stripped of their automatic, taxpayer-funded security privileges in the United Kingdom. This decision transformed Harry's home country into a place of perceived vulnerability, a reality that the former British Army captain found deeply distressing given his lifelong exposure to extreme media scrutiny and public obsession. For years, the Invictus Games founder has been locked in a relentless, exhausting petition process with the British government, arguing with immense passion that his inherent risk profile remains unchanged regardless of his official working status within the family. The level of desperation surrounding this issue reached a peak when Harry allegedly offered to completely fund his own private police protection while on British soil, an unprecedented proposal that was ultimately rejected by the authorities. The legal battle reached a devastating climax in May of 2025 when the Court of Appeal officially dismissed his legal challenge, leaving the 41-year-old prince with few options and reinforcing his deep-seated belief that it was simply too dangerous to bring his young children to his native land without the ironclad guarantee of royal protection. KVUA 1. This complex legal backdrop explains why the king's personal intervention is being viewed as an absolute game-changer, a crucial development that has finally shifted the trajectory of this family crisis from one of endless litigation to the genuine possibility of emotional healing. Page 6 has recently confirmed that the couple is indeed prepared to bring their children to the United Kingdom for the very first time since the summer of 2022, a confirmation that has sent shockwaves through the global media landscape. Sources close to the situation emphasize that Prince Harry has desperately wanted his children to forge a real tangible relationship with their grandfather, recognizing that the passage of time is an unyielding force that cannot be bargained with. The deep-seated anxiety that has characterized the last several years appears to be giving way to a carefully structured plan, one that prioritizes the safety of the children while honoring the profound emotional needs of an aging monarch who wishes to secure his personal legacy. As the countdown to next month's historic journey begins, the atmosphere is thick with a mixture of profound relief and lingering apprehension, as both sides prepare to step into a completely new chapter of their shared history. The pieces of this complex puzzle are finally beginning to fall into place, but the emotional stakes remain extraordinarily high, ensuring that every single moment of the upcoming visit will be scrutinized by a world that has watched this family drama unfold from the very beginning. The deepest layers of this historical family divide are intertwined with a series of public disclosures that have completely reshaped how the world views the House of Windsor, creating a complex emotional landscape that cannot be easily navigated or quickly forgotten. At 41 years old, Prince Harry has walked a remarkably tumultuous path, transitioning from the cherished younger son of a future monarch into a global figure who chose to challenge the foundational structures of the institution that raised him. This profound alienation reached its absolute peak following a succession of highly publicized media appearances, wherein he and his wife chose to openly share their personal perspectives regarding the internal dynamics, pressures, and perceived injustices they experienced during their time as active, working members of the royal family. The turning point in this narrative came with the publication of his raw, unfiltered memoir titled Spare, which hit bookstore shelves with the force of an emotional earthquake, exposing deep-seated rivalries, childhood traumas, and private conversations that many traditionalists believed should have remained locked away forever within the private archives of the palace. This unprecedented level of transparency left deep, enduring scars across the family structure, transforming what had been a private disagreement into an ongoing global conversation about the modern relevance, emotional cost, and internal expectations of the British monarchy itself, while King Charles III has demonstrated a remarkable, grandfatherly willingness to look past these deep wounds and extend a hand of genuine reconciliation. The attitude of his eldest son and heir, Prince William, remains one of the most significant and unresolved question marks hanging over this upcoming reunion. The relationship between the two brothers, once viewed as an unbreakable bond forged in the shared tragedy of their mother's untimely passing, has devolved into a chilly, distant silence that many close observers fear may never be truly resolved. Unlike their father, who views the situation through the lens of a parent running out of time, the Prince of Wales is said to hold a much more rigid perspective, viewing the public disclosures as a profound breach of trust that directly threaten the stability of the crown he is destined to inherit one day. The vast distance between London and California is mirrored precisely in the emotional chasm that currently exists between the two brothers, with no current indication that William is open to burying the hatchet or participating in the upcoming family gathering. This stark contrast within the palace walls highlights the immense complexity of the situation, showing that while a father's love can pave the way for a temporary truce, the deeper fractures within the next generation of the monarchy will require far more time, effort, and genuine vulnerability to heal. For her part, Meghan Markle has remained an influential yet deeply private figure throughout this ongoing saga, carefully managing her life in California while keeping her focus firmly on the protection and well-being of her two young children. Her absence from British soil since the solemn funeral of Queen Elizabeth II in the autumn of 2022 speaks volumes about the intense, often hostile media environment she faced during her time in the United Kingdom, an experience that clearly left a lasting impression on her approach to royal diplomacy. In the sun-drenched sanctuary of Montecito, she has worked alongside her husband to build an entirely new identity, far removed from the strict expectations of palace protocol, focusing instead on global philanthropic endeavors, creative production partnerships, and the quiet joys of everyday motherhood. Her decision regarding whether or not to join her husband on this high-stakes journey across the Atlantic carries profound implications, as her presence would undoubtedly signify a complete, unified effort to rebuild broken bridges, whereas her absence would signal that certain boundaries remain non-negotiable. As Buckingham Palace maintains its characteristic, dignified silence regarding the precise details of the visit, the global community is left to contemplate the sheer human courage required for these individuals to step out of their protective bubbles and face the very real, unpredictable realities of their shared history. The ultimate significance of this upcoming reunion extends far beyond the immediate joy of a grandfather getting to hold his young grandchildren. It represents a crucial, defining moment for the future trajectory of the modern British monarchy as a whole. In an era characterized by rapid social change and shifting public perceptions, the ability of this ancient institution to demonstrate basic human empathy, forgiveness, and adaptability is vital to maintaining its relevance and emotional connection with people around the world. The image of King Charles welcoming Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet back into the royal fold offers a powerful counter-narrative to the years of conflict, suggesting that even within the most rigid structures of power, the fundamental bonds of family can still triumph over pride and past grievances. This visit serves as a poignant reminder that underneath the sparkling crowns, the historic titles, and the grand castles, the members of the royal family are ultimately human beings navigating the exact same complex webs of love, hurt, and reconciliation that touch lives in every corner of the globe. As the final logistical details are quietly locked into place and next month's highly anticipated journey approaches, the entire world watches with a sense of profound hope, wishing for a peaceful, transformative encounter that will finally allow this fractured family to close a chapter of pain and step boldly together into a brand new era of understanding.